Hey, well, good day, everybody. Today's the 6th of August, 2024. I'm Connor MacIvor. Today's your real estate update. We're going to be talking about the inventory. We're very close to getting higher than 500 units for sale. While that sounds fantastic, and I have been talking about it for this last week because we haven't seen it for better than 2 years, not a lot is going to change in the market. I do not believe a surplus of inventory is going to come that's going to change the days on market timeframes. So you sellers out there that have been contemplating a move, but concerned that you're not going to find any place to move to, i.e. another house to purchase, maybe simultaneously having your house close at the same time that the house that you have found for you enter escrow and close that at the same time. Being a concurrent close, that is something that should be a big concern to you as it is most sellers. Now, if you have a rental strategy or if you happen to have a fifth wheel or a camping strategy that you're going to go stay in a trailer for a few months, I have clients that do that, and that might not be a bad idea. I just don't know how long those months are going to have to equate to be able to see where you'll be able to buy a property at a better deal than you can today. That's where the real estate market seems to be heading up, and it has been doing that since, of course, about the end of 2011 or the beginning of 2012. That's not when the last foreclosure cycle started. That was back in '07. But it took a while to hit that critical mass and to actually go down to the bottom here in the Santa Clarita Valley. And if you remember that foreclosure market, that was going to be at the end of 2011, beginning of 2012. That would have been the time to pull out that suitcase full of money you have hidden in your backyard, or all the soup cans you have buried with dollars in them. Take those and purchase a property. That would have been like the perfect time. Now, right now, people are asking me, I had a call the other day, they have some money that they would like to invest in real estate. And I said, that's fine. And the caller mentioned seasoning. Not sure how they found me, actually. And I said, seasoning? I said, as far as the money goes? And he said, yes. I said, well, seasoning has to do with the money having to either have been in an account for a while and also having some kind of verified origin. Now, I don't believe the verified origin is a part, but that's why I think that is in place. It used to be you could just go buy a house cash. Now, of course, you go to the bank and try to deposit a certain amount of money. They do notify the government and these sorts of things. Well, that's been in lending, and that's part of lending as well. If you need to borrow money to purchase a house and you have gift money, the gift money just needs to be, I think, from a verified source, and I don't know the other additional requirements to have that money work. Lenders, that's their business. And of course, like everything in the world, things seem to change from time to time. So I don't know where that is, but that's one way to do it. But when he asked about seasoning, this is money, who knows from where. We didn't really get much further into it, except that yes, money that's in an account is required to be there in order to be used, or at least from some type of verified source. You can't just walk up and find a suitcase full of money and then go use that to buy a house. Well, at least not here in California. I believe the money has to be verified. And now that I mention this, I really don't know. I don't recall. But I'll find out for tomorrow's show. How about that? And I'll mention that to you about verification of money. But that being the case, I don't see where real estate is going to get into a realm where it's going to be less expensive, except for at least for the time being. What's going to be required to change the Santa Clarita market into more of a buyer's market where there's less competition between buyers, higher competition between real estate sellers, it's going to take the market changing and morphing into more of a buyer's market with more inventory, and that inventory is going to have to take longer to sell. Currently, we're anywhere about 10 days from a time a property gets listed for sale. You get through that one weekend. Multiple offers usually start generating quite quickly. It depends on the listing price, but once that property is advertised and marketed, put on the market, there are buyers out there that are working with other agents that have been looking for residential real estate, probably very much like yours. So it's not a bad time to at least explore that, getting the property on the market. This August, what is that, 13th, and I've heard numbers of 17 as well, there's going to be some changes to the real estate market. Probably you as a buyer will notice it most in what you're signing to look at properties. It's going to be required that a buyer-broker agreement be signed. And of course, buyer-broker, the agent that you're working with, it's not necessarily the case that they're actually a real estate broker. Real estate broker takes a certain time in the industry, minimum number of, in the regard with production, so not very much. Or you can be an attorney, and I think that blesses you into being able to take the test. And I think you need 4 years as a real estate licensee. If you have a bachelor's degree, I think that's reduced. Anyways, most agents are not brokers, or everybody would be a broker, but a lot of agents, that didn't make sense. A lot of agents are not brokers. So the buyer-broker agreement is between you and the broker that the agent works for, which I guess doesn't matter because it should be the case. Of course, the broker would have ultimate control over this contract, but it should be the case if you have some kind of a falling out or an issue, you can go to your agent and say, hey, listen, you're not doing it for me. You said you were going to do these things. You're not doing these things. I want you to cut me out of that buyer-broker agreement. Or the original buyer-broker agreement, you can have it specifically for a singular property, so you don't maybe become committed to a real estate agent. So that's where that market's going to change for buyers. For sellers, you're probably not going to see a lot going on online, except if you were one that paid attention to what other sellers were offering other agents to bring buyers to their property to purchase it. If you had been watching those numbers, they will disappear. There won't be any offerings. So now there's been jokes that have pictures that have been made that have hidden percentage signs in them, or particular code that agents are going to develop to communicate that the seller is offering a commission to the buyer's agent. Interesting the way that took off and how wonderfully self-serving it is for people in my industry. I guess the same thing would work as I do with every listing. I actually call the listing agent on behalf of my buyers, not to check on the commission. So that'll be a new question. Is the seller offering compensation to the agent representing the buyer? Can't be put anywhere. From what I understand, can be conveyed verbally. But you want to call and ask questions anyway. It wasn't ever about that, unless the seller was offering something like maybe a flat fee and the agent had a question about it. But usually it wasn't a discussion about, are they offering, will they pay me more? I only had that circumstance in the last 24 years since I became licensed in 98. I've only had that happen one time. That's 26 years in it. So I've only had that happen one time where an agent, part of the conversation was them wanting more. Would the seller entertain it? And it was such an out of the left field question, right field, just out of the stadium question. When it came in, I said, well, I don't know. That wasn't part of the conversation because they're offering what the market offers. Anyway, they wrote it. The seller, I explained to the seller, is this normal? They asked me if it's normal. I said, no, first time. And, well, they agreed to do what the buyer's agent asked. I think that market is going to get a lot more constrictive, and it's definitely something to pay attention to with regard to the sellers. Of course, you're not going to see any kind of commission offering online. But again, I don't think that hurts you in any way, at least on the online channels. Also, that variable is not going to be able to be used apparently as reasoning as to why something sold faster than something else. For example, if the commission rate was set at a higher level than normal, did that property, or on average, do those properties sell faster than the properties that have been listed for sale and are now have been listed for sale for less of an offering in a commission or concession. So those are those changes. I don't know if it's going to really affect a lot on the front end. I do know that in the buyer's realm, in a lot of cases, they're going to start to be saddled with the cost of the agent they hire to represent them. So then the other part of the world, everybody's been talking about how a real estate agent can express their value. And if you haven't been doing that this whole time, in some way, shape, or form, and your business has really been one where people just come up to you and say, please help me sell or please help me buy. Well, good for you. Most of us in the industry have been working on our value proposition, honing our craft, making ourselves better at real estate, making ourselves better at negotiation. And while selling something really hasn't changed since the beginning of time, now we have methods, implements, and technology that really helps us do that sort of thing. Because of that, if you're good in this industry and you're constantly honing your craft and making it better, you will be able to succeed. You will be able to take your real estate business and exist no matter what the market. Somebody said to me the other day, don't you miss the time when the market was easier? And I said, really, it's not about easier. In a foreclosure market, people want to buy and sell real estate, and they want a representative to represent them. In a healthy real estate market, people want to buy and sell real estate and want a representative to represent them. Now, if it's a complete seller's market and you have a few people that say, you know what, I don't need to pay an agent, I want to sell my house myself, absolutely welcome to this country. We hope you enjoy it. You can do anything you would like. You can sell your house yourself. And if you choose to do that, that is totally up to you. I can help people sell their house themselves, guide, give advice. But at the end of the day, that's kind of the same as maybe trying to do something myself. Maybe not a medical procedure. I've heard that comparison made. Well, that's like me doing open heart surgery to myself. Well, how can I even be awake if I'm doing that, right? On the other side of it, though, there are other things that I would not do. There are people that I go for advice. I go to my tax person. I'm not going to try to do my taxes. A lot of folks do their taxes. Great. They get kind of complicated, it seems. So does life the older you get. And that being the case, I need a tax advisor that I can call up and ask a question to. Where should I be with this? What do you recommend I do with this? Or even better, I have a client that wants to do this. I can't get that fulfilled with myself because my knowledge is of a certain way, of a certain thing, or many things, but not expert in all. Real estate really is my thing. So I would hire an outside provider to do my taxes. You might do the same with real estate. I don't see it changing a lot for you. I see the market still continue to become more expensive, and I see real estate listings still being very constrictive. However, we're about to go over 500. That's an awesome number, but it's really not going to change much in this market. If interest rates do come down September or before, as has been threatened, the rate that they're talking about is the rate the bank gets to pay when moving money from bank to bank. Banks, that's the bank rate. And that's when they talk about the federal interest rate, or the federal rate. That being the case, it's probably going to come down. If that comes down, then that usually trickles down to home buyers. And if this real estate market gets into the 4s or 5s, we're going to have a very exciting market, even with over 500 real estate listings on the market for sale, because like I said, they've been selling 10 days, just thereabouts. If we have those interest rates drop into the 4s, we're going to see this market, days on market timeframes, probably drop within a few days. And it would only be a few days because sellers are getting so many offers, they want to hold out until they're pretty sure they've exhausted that. Or some smart sellers, because they understand they're in competition with other listings, in that particular predicament might find themselves saying, oh my gosh, this first offer that came in is really, really good. I know we're brand new on the market, but if we can get this thing tied up before a neighbor lists their house or before somebody else does something or the interest rates change, great. These are a couple different philosophies on the real estate world. Thank you for watching today's update. We are at Tuesday. We'll be back tomorrow, Hump Day broadcast. We'll talk about that foreclosure market I mentioned that kicked off back when that subprimer fell back late '06. God, was it March of '07? Somewhere like that. Big lender, bankruptcy. The market came down like a house of cards. I don't see that developing in the near future. In fact, they've put so many restrictions on loans. To get a home loan is not a walk in the park anymore. I'm Connor MacIvor. We'll see you soon. Thanks for watching. Connor with Honor, over and out.